I hope everybody is prepared for the tests today. What is intelligence? A question that doesn't give a lot of answers, but it does raise a lot of important and interesting questions. What influences it, and how can it be assessed? The Oxford Dictionary defines intelligence as the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills.
Well, in the early 20th century, Charles Spearman, a British psychologist, suggested that an intelligent person is someone who understands things quickly, makes sound decisions, carries on interesting conversations, behaves intelligently in many situations.
Well, nowadays, Howard Gardner has categorised intelligence into 9 sections: naturalist, musical, logical mathematical, existential, interpersonal, bodily kinesthetic, linguistic, intrapersonal, and spatial intelligence. He proposed that people were much more complex than what can be revealed in an IQ test or any other standardized testing model.
The goal of intelligence testing is to obtain an idea of the person's intellectual potential based on an individual's interactions with their environment.
Well, the definition is psychological tests that are designed to measure a variety of mental functions, such as reasoning, comprehension, and judgment. There's 2 types. The first type, Woodcock-Johnson III, tests on cognitive abilities. Children are given a series of tests on a number of topics, such as verbal, spatial, visual, and auditory. The second type is differential ability scales, called the DAS test. Consists of 20 subtests, which include problem-solving skills and visual pictures.
An intelligence test is a measure of one's intelligence. It is a test to design and measure a person's mental aptitude or inherent mental ability. The measure is taken, a numerical score is assigned, and then compared to others who have taken the same test. One example would be the Stanford-Binet Intelligence Scale. This assesses fluid reasoning, knowledge, quantitative reasoning, visual spatial processing, and working memory. Another type of intelligence test would be the Universal Nonverbal Intelligence Testing. Given and answered using body gestures, for example, pointing, this type of test is used on nonverbal children.
All right, class, time is up. I'm going to collect your tests. There's a lot of criticism about intelligence testing. I wonder what the other teachers think about this. So I gave my class a test today on intelligence and how it can be tested, and I was really surprised at the different responses I got back.
But hasn't testing intelligence always been controversial? Like, there's so many critics out there that argue that the test outcomes are influenced by a variety of different factors.
Yeah, many people believe that the results of these tests can be used to predict social outcomes. I read an article recently that said IQ tests and general intelligence are related to social outcomes. It said that people with lower IQs are more likely to be incarcerated, and people with higher IQs are more likely to be wealthy and successful.
So you're telling me if I score low on that test, I'm more than likely going to end up in prison?
No, not exactly. The article said that there was a relationship between the 2 factors, but it never said anything about causality.
Okay, so not everyone that scores low on that test is going to end up in prison, so...
Yeah, those tests really can't be used to predict social outcomes. It's very inaccurate and unethical.
Okay, so what about the likes of standardised testing?
Standardised tests are often misinterpreted as intelligence tests, when really standardised tests measure more specific skills. They don't really measure general intelligence on a broader scale. For example, the Leaving Cert can't always be used to predict college success. It's very inaccurate.
Well, yeah, that's true. I've often had ex-students come back, like students that got 600 points, and they've dropped out of college. They haven't been able to handle it. It just goes to show you that just because you've done well in the Leaving Cert doesn't mean you're going to do well in college.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, isn't there another criticism that various cultures value different types of intelligence?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you think about it, there was a time when immigrants in America were tested on their knowledge of American presidents and stuff like what is a milkshake.
It just goes to show you tests can be culturally biased, and even though it has gotten better since then, it seems impossible to count for all cultures in an intelligence test.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of intelligence, and who's to say one intelligence is more important than the other?